let's pivot and talk about the most anticipated things that are going to be dropping this year in 2025. So we're gonna count down, each of us, our top 10 most anticipated releases, and we just decided to open up and not really categorize it, not just movies or TV or just video games. We're gonna pull from really any entertainment medium. There's going to
Mhm.
be quite a lot coming out this year, so I would say that there's certainly things to look forward to. But how are you feeling about 2025 as of now in terms of just like the stuff that's coming down the pipeline? We do have a good amount of information in terms of what's supposed to come out, especially from like a movie or a television side of things.
Mhm.
But as we know, and as we have seen over the past couple of years, sometimes it's hard to get too excited about certain things because there's just always the looming potential threat that something's going to get pushed back or delayed.
Yeah.
There have been several things that were supposed to come out this year that are no longer coming out this year, due to the writer strikes, due to COVID. I mean, there's just a innumerable amount of facts that contribute to why
Mhm.
something gets punted down the road. But at least with what we know now to be true for 2025, how are you feeling about this year in terms of your excitement level and in terms of the things you're looking forward to?
I'm pretty excited, man. And I think the same way you speak about things getting pushed back, there's always surprises in the bunch too that I think I'm excited for. Like things we're not even going to see on our list that like, oh shoot, what is this thing over here? So I can't wait to I think see those things that we don't know about as well. I'm excited for that. But I think this year is shaping up to be kind of pretty important in a lot of ways. A lot of big franchise IPs happening, a lot of big superhero movies happening. Some things are ending, some things are coming back after years. I just can't wait. I think to see, but I think I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot on the table to dissect, and uh, a lot of the things I'm excited about, I'm also excited about because it seems to be a lot of intentionality behind it. Like a lot of things I'm going to say on my list is like this feels good. Like the trailer looks good, the team around it feels good, everything looks good, and so I think I'm just excited to kind of get into it. I think this is an important year for nerdom specifically. The nerd stuff, like superhero stuff, video game stuff. This is one of those just anticipated years. And like you said, a lot of stuff got pushed back. I'm looking at you, Spider-Man and Batman, looking at you, but it's okay because I think we'll make the most out of it, and I think it'll still end up being a really solid year.
I think there's been a phrase that's been going around for at least all of 2024, maybe even longer than that. But I think the outlook coming into 2024 was pretty bleak, and there was a phrase that was going around Hollywood executives. They were saying "survive till 25,"
Mm,
because apparently 2025 is supposed to be a turning point year, not only in terms of what we're going to see and what we're going to experience, but I think also just a turning point as it relates to just the structure and the nature of the industry right now, which is just it's in shambles, to be honest. It's in the toilet, if you ask me. And I don't know if things are all of a sudden magically just going to change this year at the snap of a finger. It doesn't really work that way. I think
hmm
people were really just kind of saying that to make themselves feel better. And as it relates to the things that we're going to see and what we're going to get, that's kind of how I feel about the actual output of what's going to drop this year. Because on the surface, it looks like it's going to be promising, but I'm very skeptical. I'm very, very
hmm
nervous. And I'm like, these things could be big. They could hit. The ceiling could be very high. But at the same time, I think just based on trends and where we've seen several
Yeah.
studios and several creative endeavors go over the last few years, I mean, we've seen things crash and burn. And so I'm not.
hmm
I'm not as optimistic as I used to be, just several years ago or pre-COVID. And so, again, on the surface, a lot of these things do look promising, and there are things that I'm genuinely excited about. And maybe even a couple of these things are, sort of undeniable. Like there's really no way that they
Mm,
can fail. That's
yeah.
probably true for a couple of things, but I think for the
Yeah.
most part, I'm certainly still walking into everything cautiously optimistic that it can be a very positive year of upward trajectory, across the board. But at the same time, we could probably still be in the stagnant sort of state of things that I think we've been sort of resting in for like the past 4 to 5 years, really post COVID. So we'll see how the year shapes up, but let's dive into our lists. As I said, we're pulling from sort of any aspect of entertainment, so you're going to get things from all over the place, whether it's on streaming or in theaters or potentially even video games. And so, you want to kick off the list, or do you want me to start with my number 10, and then we're going to go from 10 to 1 in terms of most excited things?
I can kick it off. I'm
Okay,
down to kick it off. Yeah,
sounds good.
man. my number 10 spot, it's at number 10. Really should be higher, but it's at number 10 because it's kind of slightly already out. But I kind of talked about it. I think it was last episode. But new anime out, Sakamoto Days. I mean, it's gonna be one of those anime. It's specifically on Netflix, or exclusively on Netflix. And I'm just really excited to watch it. It's a really good manga. I do read the manga, and the premise. Think about, like, if John Wick, he didn't fall in love, he was never married, and he had a kid, and then he grew overweight, and then you kind of skip the dead dog. That's Sakamoto Days. That's like really, that's really what it is. And so I'm really excited, I think, to get into it. It came out technically, I think, Saturday. I haven't watched episode 1 yet, but I will watch it. But yeah, man, just really excited to get into that TV show. And I think everyone is going to love it. I really do. It's really like that. I think it's going to be really popular.
Overweight, sort of John Wick style stuff. That's that's a really, really interesting pitch.
Yeah, man.
What's it like to see John Wick completely over the hill
Yep.
and way past his prime? Hopefully we don't see Keanu go down that road. If we ever get to that place,
Oh no, he say his knees is messed up.
he's
Yeah, I
already
said,
talking like it's looking
mhm.
pretty grim that he might come back. That's not the youngest man ever. So yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
we're not as close to that as it seems. I'll kick off with my number 10, and admittedly, I'm going to cheat here. I am
Mhm.
combining two things, but they are related. They're not just two disparate things. They are related. And so my number 10 pick is two movies that'll be dropping this year. And it's from the Safdie brothers, who are
Mhm. Mhm.
individually directing films that are coming out this year. It was reported, I think, about a year ago that they've parted ways in terms of being a directing duo. But they both have things coming out this year. Benny Safdie will be directing Marty Supreme, which is going to be
Mhm.
starring Timothy Chalamet. It's coming out Christmas Day. It also has Gwyneth Paltrow, Tyler the Creator, is in the movie. And it's going to be following a professional table tennis player, Marty Reisman. And so this is going to be a really, really interesting story that I'm looking out for. Of course, A24 being behind it, being a sports drama coming out on Christmas. Timothy Chalamet doing a ton of really interesting, great things right now. Gave him a lot of credit last week as it relates to A Complete Unknown. This sounds like something I'm really interested in. And then connected to that is another sports drama, which is going to be directed. Actually, Marty Supreme is directed by Josh Safdie. Benny Safdie is
Mhm.
directing The Smashing Machine, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which is going to be following MMA fighter Mark Kerr. And The Rock, we've talked about him a lot over the past few weeks. I'm excited to see potentially a new turn in his career. Him
I
him
hope
take
so,
him
man.
take some new steps and to do things that are more challenging, more interesting, non-conventional compared to what we've seen from him for the past 10 or so years. He almost didn't make my list because he's kind of still in the doghouse for what he did on Raw last week, but I'm very much still here for The Rock and rooting for him that this can
Yeah.
be somewhat of a breakthrough and again sort of a new pathway that it can explore. And so yeah, the Safdie brothers, I love them both as filmmakers, and I can't wait to see both of these movies come out this year. Both sports dramas with really, really high powered talent, both coming from A24. So I think it'll hopefully be a really positive year as it relates to these two movies from the Safdie brothers.
It was so interesting is, I don't know, just these sports dramas have also been cooking, right? Like both challengers, and you got the Iron Claw, and I don't know, man. I'm just really excited to watch those films and the Safdie brothers, and yeah, man, those are really good picks. I really can't wait until those things come out. We're gonna be there. It don't even matter. My number 9 pick, I had to throw it on here. Stranger Things, the finale, man. I had to throw
Mm-hmm.
the Stranger Things finale on here. I did. It's a Stranger Things has been a moment in time. It really has. These past couple seasons, your mileage may vary, but still enjoyable series. I think they did what they set out to do. It's already legendary. It's already I'd say one of the most successful TV shows that we've seen. At least that's this short. You know what I mean? That could be this short, a very big hit for Netflix, and I'm excited for them to just wrap it up. And I love when things have a conclusion. We've talked about this numerous times. It's like, yeah, at least you had an end. Some shows don't even get to end, but the Stranger Things cast are all getting so old. They're all moving on to do whatever they can do. But I'm really happy to see this thing end and for all those actors to go on and have really blossoming, successful careers, man. But I think they're gonna go out with a bang with Stranger Things 5. So yeah, I'm excited to see it.
You know, Netflix has a really interesting year ahead of them because Stranger Things 5 is ending. We also know Squid Game is going to be ending.
Hmm.
These are literally their two biggest shows ever. And so
Yeah.
what comes next for Netflix? I imagine there's probably going to be spin-offs of these two shows in some form
Yeah.
or fashion. There was also that rumor that came out. We talked about it on the show about the English language remake of Squid Game that's likely on the horizon. I think that's being
Yep.
developed by David Fincher. So I imagine that once these two shows wrap up, we're going to hear announcements about spinoff material and other things that are going to be coming. But Stranger Things 5, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge,
Yeah.
huge moment when it drops, and everybody's going to be tuned in. Likely, it'll be dropping. I would imagine probably this later this summer. But
Hmm.
that's definitely going to be something that really is going to be the end of an era,
Yeah.
and kind of close out something that's been just so integral to their streaming platform and their success, and I think what people sort of associate their identity with. And so Stranger Things 5 is it's definitely going to be huge for sure. Next on my list, it's actually another A24 film. This
Hmm.
is the follow-up effort from director Celine Song. She's dropping a movie this year called Materialists that I'm
Oh
very,
my
very
God.
excited for. It's going to be starring Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans, another guy that we've been talking about lately who has not been on the greatest path in terms of recent years, but Celine Song directed
Celine
Past
Song.
Lives a couple of years ago, one of the best films of 2023. And so I'm just here for her follow up feature film and to see what she's going to do. It's a romantic comedy set in New York City. It's following a matchmaker, and just sort of this relationship that develops between her, the ex boyfriend, and another businessman. And this is just another sort of intro into what she can do as a filmmaker, and hopefully for Chris Evans it could be something that people remember him as like, oh yeah, he is a really good actor that
Hmm.
that knows how to pick a good project. And of course Pedro Pascal, he's going to have a huge massive year this year, of things that he's dropping. So of course just her being such a talented filmmaker and coming off of Past Lives, can't wait for what she drops with the Materialist later this year.
Bro, I have no idea why I didn't know about this movie. You know how much I love Past Lives, but man, I it should have been on my list, damn near. Really happy to see Celine Song working with those actors too. That's like super fire. Can't wait to see it. It's I love when like sometimes like these like newer directors can get hold of like really seasoned actors. It's always like an interesting recipe to me. I'm like, oh yeah, what's going to happen here? I really want to know how it's gonna turn out. So yeah, man, I actually cannot wait to see Materialist. It looks hella tight. I am going to cheat as well, and I'm gonna put all my video games together in one
Okay.
in one little thing here. I got four real quick. Assassin's Creed. What is it called? Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's a Black Samurai. I mean, come on. Of course, I'm going to be excited to see a Black Samurai. It's insane. Um, South of Midnight, a kind of southern action adventure, black girl in the bayou. It looks really good. Art direction looks fire. Music looks good. I just can't. I'm really excited to see what happens there. Ghost of Yote, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Man, I mean, I think everybody's going to be excited for Ghost of Yote. And then, of course, if it happens, this is one of those ones you got to put an asterisk next to it because it might get pushed back. We all know how this goes. But GTA 6, it's just yeah, I think everyone understands GTA is one of the greatest franchises ever, and they really, put this game out this year. Everybody's going to be all over it, and that's also going to. I love when we can have a moment like everyone gathers around a GTA, and everyone's like just talking about it and playing it. It's kind of the same thing happened with Marvel Rivals here recently, right? Like everybody's just been talking about Marvel Rivals and XS. I think GTA is kind of going to have that same feel, with just everybody kind of rallying behind it. So yeah, man, I'm excited for all those games this year.
Yeah, spoiler, GTA 6 is definitely on my list for sure. Related to video games, not a video game, but a video game adaptation. Next on my list is The Last of Us Season 2, which
Yes,
has
sir.
just been confirmed to be dated for April. It's going to be 7 episode season 2. This is going to be obviously following and picking up after the events of season 1. Pedro Pascal coming back, Bella Ramsey coming back. And if you've played the game, you know that it's a very, very wild roller coaster of a ride, and it's also one of those stories, the second game that cannot be truncated in a single season. So it's very clear that this is going to be split up into at least 2 seasons. I would imagine, especially considering that it will be lesser episodes this year. 9
Hmm.
was the episode count for season 1. This is going to be 7. I imagine I have a good feeling of where it's going to cut off, in terms of the story. If you've played the game, you probably also have a pretty good idea as well. But either way, it's going to be something that really, really if you don't know what happens in the game, I would encourage you to just, stay away from any spoilers, because there are spoilers from pretty early moments within the game, and just try to go in as blind as possible, because it
Yeah.
gets so much more emotional. The stakes get raised so significantly, and just what they do with the character development of everybody involved is it's really tremendous stuff. I think it is one of the greatest stories that's ever been told in the video game medium, and so hopefully, fingers crossed, all the people a part of the Last of Us show at HBO can make sure that they deliver something that lives up to those incredibly high expectations. But it's also not without its detractors. It's also a very controversial story as well.
Yeah.
And there have been a ton of comments already about what's going to happen and casting and all sorts of things, but
Hmm.
my faith is there. I think they won us over for the most part with season one, and so I have pretty high hopes and high expectations that they'll be able to come through and deliver with at least this first part of the second game.
No, this is perfect. This is my seventh spot, actually. Last of Us season 2 as well. Man, Last of Us 2, one of the greatest games ever created. It's just it really is that good. Like you said, one of the greatest stories we've ever seen in the video game medium. It's really that fire. I'm excited to see how everything plays out. It's one thing to play it, it's another thing to say, okay, how do they make this thing live action? And I think in some ways the live action can bring a lot of, like you said, almost like you said, a lot of emotion, to what's going to happen in this season. And I can't wait to see. I'm excited to see the people who haven't played the game. I want to see their reactions and how they feel and their thoughts. I think everybody's going to be it's just going to be crazy, I think, to see. I'm really excited for Last of Us to come out, man, because it's that good. Like you said, I think season 1 they did such a good job. I'm like, all right, season 2 in some ways is almost even more important. Like you said, it is controversial, and almost because of that, you almost got to be almost more careful with the way you kind of put this thing out and with the messages I think that you're giving in the show. So yeah, super excited for Last of Us season 2, man.
Yeah, if they haven't played the game, if people have not played the game, yeah, they'll likely be just as mad as
Yep, put
people
your
that played
seatbelt
the
on,
game.
everybody. Put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, it's not a happy ride. I'll just say that it's not a happy ride at all. So certainly be ready for that when it drops this coming April on HBO and Max. Next for me is the brand new film from director Ryan Coogler, that's Sinners, which is now coming out in April. It was supposed to come out in March, but it's been pushed
Yep.
back. It switched release dates actually with Bong Joon-ho's next movie, Mickey 17, but it's going to be coming out in April. As I mentioned, Ryan Coogler is writing and directing. I'm just excited that he's back to doing something original and doing something separate from a huge franchise. After Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which it's a good film and it's a good tribute to the the legacy of Chadwick Boseman, but I certainly felt after that movie that I was ready for Ryan Coogler to do something separate from Marvel, separate from a big franchise machine. I wanted to see him flex his muscles again with something that was mostly unfamiliar to us. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
a part of me also wonders, like, this alternate reality, like what would have happened if he didn't take on Black Panther and he made, maybe 2 or 3 other films by this point. Because the reality is when you join those huge franchises and those big studios, they take a lot of your time. It's just not really
Yeah.
much time to do anything else. And so the fact that he was able to go ahead and develop this new project, once again collaborating with Michael B. Jordan, who's going to be in a dual role in this movie that's focused on what appears to be vampires and the supernatural. It looks amazing every time that trailer comes on a big IMAX screen. The sound is booming. It looks just like it's going to be a hell of a ride come April. And again, just having him be such a visionary, taking on a new story that we really can't predict where it's going to go, doing something well within the genre realm and tackling
Mm-hmm.
something that he hasn't done before. I mean, I couldn't be more excited for what he's going to do next.
Yeah, we pretty much copy and paste again. Sinners is also my next spot here, and man, on a technical level, Black filmmakers just haven't had the opportunity to actually really shoot a ton of things in IMAX. That idea alone is like, okay, we finna get Black people on these IMAX cameras now. And Sinners is one of those movies. I love Ryan Coogler as a filmmaker. Sinners is one of those movies. To be honest, every time I watch the trailer, I have no idea what's happening. Like, I'm like, okay, but what does this mean? Like, what is going on in this movie? And I think that makes me even more excited to watch it. I'm like, yeah, I love kind of going in blind like that. To me, it's almost like a perfect trailer. Like you said, it sounds good, it looks good. Michael B. Jordan is doing what he needs to do. It looks weird in a lot of ways, but also it piques my interest so much. So I'm really excited to see Sinners. I'm really excited for Ryan Coogler get his hands on these IMAX cameras. Go see it in IMAX and just make a moment out of it, man. I'm pretty happy that it's happening and it's coming out. So yeah, Sinners is also my next on my list.
Amazing. We'll keep it moving then. So my number 6 spot is going to the brand new Joseph Kosinski movie, F1, which is going to be dropping this summer, starring Brad Pitt. Just hella excited for it. The trailer is phenomenal. Brad Pitt doing an F1 movie. Joe Kosinski coming off of the massive, incredible success of Top Gun Maverick from 2022, stepping in to do, again, related to my number 10 picks, a sports drama, which are making a big comeback. But this is definitely something on a bit of a bigger canvas, I would say, considering just the star power behind it. Damson Idris is also in this movie. And, everything in terms of my hype and my excitement is just based off of the look of the movie and how it makes me feel when I see that trailer, and the way it's shot and just the creative techniques that are used to follow the F1 vehicles during the races. It just looks like it's going to be a really, really great time. Mostly an original story, not coming from any sort of huge pre-existing IP. And Brad Pitt, man, he's still rocking and rolling. He's still doing it on a big level. I love most of the stuff he's doing lately. Not everything, but a lot of the stuff he's doing lately. I just kind of love this era of his career that he's in. So, I couldn't be more excited for that when it drops this summer.
Bro, it looks so good. Like, oh my god! And I think the idea of F1. I don't know if people like understand how cool of a movie this is going to be, but I hope people buy in and go see this movie. It looks so tight to me, bro. I cannot wait to see F1. Definitely, highly anticipated for me as well, man. It's hella tight. What spot is this for me? 5, 6, 6?
This is
6.
Yeah, 6, I think.
Yeah, in my 6th spot,
Actually,
I
5.
have
No, it's 5. It's
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. My number 5 spot is 28 years later. Oh my god. 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 So this franchise here, it's crazy because what they putting out like a movie a decade at this point. 28 days later to 28 weeks to 28 years, man. Just a franchise I've always enjoyed. 28 days I seen so young, and it kind of blew my mind that this is what a zombie movie could look like, right? An infected movie could look like. I was like, what is this thing? It's crazy to think about because it's like, wait, that's Cillian Murphy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, how far we've come in time. And 28 Weeks used to be the movie I would use. I used to have movie nights in college, and I used to use 28 Weeks to make sure my sound was okay. Like I used to pop it in real quick, make sure everything sounded good. The beginning of 28 Weeks is one of the craziest openings to a movie I've ever seen. It is just, I love it. I love the intensity. What a great way to open a film. And so to see 28 years later coming here, I'm just super excited for it, man. I can't wait to see what they do. The story looks interesting, looks different than the other two. They all seem to be so vastly different. But yeah, man, Danny Boyle is back to direct and give us another 28 whatever franchise here, story here. So yeah, really excited to watch it, and I hope it's as good as I think it is.
Yeah, it's a big reuniting of not only Danny Boyle, but Alex Garland. They brought back the cinematographer for this movie, and it's kicking off a trilogy. I don't know if people realize that this is the first installment of a new trilogy. So they have another film that's going to be coming out, I believe, possibly next year. The first 2 movies were shot back to back together, so the second one's already been filmed and they're in post-production. And it actually just came out, I believe, over the past day or two, if I'm not mistaken, that Danny Boyle will direct the 3rd installment of this new trilogy as well. They have a different director for the second one, but
Nia DaCosta, no?
Nia DaCosta, yes. Yeah.
It's the second one, I think.
And so Danny Boyle will be directing the 3rd one to conclude out, the story of this new trilogy. But it's a big undertaking for sure, but it's a huge comeback for this franchise. And it was so interesting because the trailer dropped, it was massively well received, but then people wanted to go back and revisit 28 days later, and it was nowhere to be found on PVOD. And then they released it. They released it, I think, a day or two later. They worked with the distributors and all the retail carriers to make sure that thing was available, which is very smart. You want to make sure you optimize that and get people to watch it to get excited for this new one. And so it's going to be, I think, a big moment and one of the best trailers that came out last year. It was really, really an incredible look into what this next phase of these movies is going to look like. Next on my list, no surprise here, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
Yes, sir.
Highly, highly anticipated. It's been a couple of years of a layoff since the last one, which was not originally intended. We were supposed to get this new installment last year in 2024. But after the somewhat disappointing reaction of Dead Reckoning Part 1, they sort of retooled this movie slightly, changed the title, probably changed some story elements, did some additional pickups and additional shooting, and decided to push back the release date. But when the trailer dropped, I was like, oh, it looks once again incredible. There's death-defying stunts. Tom Cruise obviously proving just once again why he's so singular and one of the best in the world at doing this sort of thing. And we still don't really know whether or not this is going to be quote unquote the final Mission Impossible movie. I don't buy that at all, but they certainly are marketing it as such. So I do anticipate that there's going to be pretty severe high stakes. And if they do continue to make these movies, there's likely going to have to be somewhat of a big pivot after this one. I think there's going to be a long layoff between this one and whatever we see in the future, because Tom Cruise also has several other projects he's going to be doing with Warner Brothers. He signed a first look deal recently, and so he has a couple of movies lined up already outside of the Mission Impossible franchise. So I do think that it'll at least be somewhat the end of this era of the franchise. And, I think they're going to go out with a huge bang. And I was a fan of Dead Reckoning Part 1. So just leading into this one, I think it's going to be one of the more entertaining, films that we're going to get this year, especially considering the great lengths that Mr. Cruise is willing to put himself through to entertain us as an audience.
Yeah, no, we copy and pasted again here. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is also next my number 4 spot here, man. I just love the theater experience of watching Mission Impossible films. There's really nothing like it. It's always like, what am I watching? What is Tom Cruise about to do? What is the next craziness that he has going on? And like you said, after that first one didn't receive, I guess the best reception, which is funny. I thought that movie was pretty exceptional. I'm interested to see, if the Final Reckoning ups the ante. I think it will. I think it is a little bit. It kind of, I guess, has to a little bit, but man, there's a lot of them. I mean, everybody we love is still in the movie. Everybody involved is still here, and I think we're just in store for another really good cinematic experience with this movie, man. So yeah, excited to watch it.
Does Ethan Hunt die at the end of this movie? Not permanently, because there's never
I know what you
permanent.
mean. Yeah.
But they put spoilers if you've not seen John Wick Chapter 4.
Yeah.
Big spoilers if you've not seen that. But do they pull something akin to that? They write him off. They get him out of, because he's been rogue for like 7 straight movies. He's
That's
effectively
true.
been kind of his own agent, and so I don't know how much more he can do. Again, sort of under this pretense. But do you think that by the end of that movie we might see somewhat of a soft death of this character, at least to get him out of the limelight for the next sort of few years leading into the future?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that's a good idea. Or you could always like Dark Knight Rises it. You know what I mean? Like kind of like make him happy for a little bit at the end. Just like go retire somewhere peacefully. And like, cause that in a lot of ways does kind of, it would bring in some more story elements and you know what I mean, of all that stuff. But I think so. I think they do find a way to retire, quote unquote, him in some form or fashion. I don't think the movie just ends and it's like, I'm still an agent. I think definitely something's going to happen. I think there's another reason they do call it the Final Reckoning. Like there has to be some end to this thing. So I definitely think so. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, I certainly anticipated. So next on my list, to keep it moving here, is Star Wars Andor, which is going to be coming back this year with the second and final season. The first season of Andor, I've said it on this show when we reviewed it, I think it's the single best Star Wars material that's come out of the Disney era. And quite possibly it's some of the greatest Star Wars storytelling ever, even including the original trilogy. It's really just exceptional television. An exceptional television show is my number 3 favorite show of 2022. Again, this was another one that we were supposed to get last year, but it's been such a massive shoot and such a huge undertaking on the part of Lucasfilm and Disney to wrap up what they're going to do here. I just know it's going to be worth it. There was also a report that came out over the holidays that the total estimated budget of the first 2 seasons of Andor was somewhere in the neighborhood of $650 million for seasons 1 and 2, which is just astronomical, just unbelievable that it would cost that much money. That makes it certainly the second and first season more expensive than their concluding
Wow.
Skywalker saga movie, which came out episode 9 in 2019. It would make it more expensive than even that. Now it is somewhat different. It's 12 hours of television compared to
Right,
2 hours of
right.
a movie. But at the same time, we just historically don't see television shows cost that much money. I think the only thing that's even remotely close at this point has been the Rings of Power, just the massive investment from
Mm,
Prime
mhm,
Video.
mhm.
But for 2 seasons, I mean, it's just a lot of money. My only thing is, even though it's a lot of money, I mean, if you're gonna spend money on something, spend it on something that's fucking good. And Andor is fucking good, and so at least the money is going to a good place. Now, if they spent this much money on the Acolyte, we'd be having a different
Oh
conversation.
my god.
But at least with Andor, I just love that show. I have no doubt in my mind that Tony Gilroy is going to deliver another phenomenal season of television that's just going to lead right into Rogue One, and I think it's likely going to stand as one of my favorite TV shows of the year once everything is said and done.
Yeah, bro, we're still on the same path here. And Andor is my fourth spot here. And it's just one of those. Andor is like that. It is a fantastic show that Star Wars has put out, and we've been getting so much mediocrity, if you can even call it that sometimes, of Star Wars content that I have to look forward to the one thing I was like, wait, this is really different. This is really good. You talking about that budget? Andor looks amazing. I love the way the show looks. I love the way it feels. I think we're ready for another really good Star Wars kind of world show. You know, we're watching Skeleton Crew right now, and in some ways, Andor is kind of like the opposite. Skeleton Crew is like this again. Is very again a little more, you know, kid adventure. Andor is like grown man kind of gets into a lot of bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to watch Andor in all of its glory, man. I think it's gonna be fire.
Yeah, more adult things in Star Wars. It's okay. We can eat too. I would
Yeah,
like to see it.
exactly.
So next on my list, surprisingly, another Disney Plus show, Daredevil: Born Again, which is going to be coming out very shortly here, March. It's dated for.
Yeah.
This is the return of Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, back to this world, back to the story after the unfortunate cancellation from Netflix back in 2018 after an incredible season 3, an incredible run on Netflix that Daredevil television show had. And, this is one that we've been talking about for a while. They had to go back and retool this one as well. I think that they were filming and going for something that they just saw was not working. And thankfully, from what we've heard, Marvel and Disney pivoted and said, you know what, let's go ahead and reshape this and give the fans likely what they want and just continue the story as opposed to
Yeah.
acting like everything that happened in those preceding 3 seasons did not happen. I think that was the best call, and it's likely going to be proven when the show comes out. We know that also John Bernthal is coming back as the Punisher,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows what other characters might pop in and sort of reestablish themselves within this new MCU multiverse era. But I can't wait. If it does what it needs to do, we could be looking at the best Marvel Disney Plus show that we've gotten so far. I have
Yeah.
that high of an expectation of it, and so I can't wait till they drop like an official first look, an official first trailer, which is likely going to come really soon here,
Mm-hmm.
and something that we're going to talk about when it drops in a couple of months on Disney Plus.
Yeah, bro. Wow. Yeah, this show is. If they do, I want them to do so much comic booky shit that has to do with the Daredevil Born Again storyline. And if they go through with a lot of that stuff, we're in store for just some really good television. Like I know this is a superhero property, but if even you could take that away from Daredevil Born Again and be like, no, this is just a good story. Like it's really that good and it's really that fire. I can't wait to see it, man. I think you're right. I think it does have the potential to be the best Disney Plus show we've gotten so far. I honestly also have that high expectations for it. My number 2 spot here. This is where I hold Superman. Superman is here. My number 2 spot. We talked about it in length when we talked about the trailer reaction last week. I'm really excited for what James Gunn has in store for us. He's a trusted filmmaker. The trailer looks good. I love everything about it. At least right now and so far. But yeah, I don't have too much to add. Just excited to see a Superman movie. It's been so long since we've seen Superman on the big screen and just be Superman. And so I think this is going to be a treat for all Superman fans, all DC fans, just for us to all kind of just turn our brains off and watch some Superman, to be honest, in the most basic and simple way. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, this is my number 2 as well. It would not have been as high if we hadn't got that trailer a few weeks ago. If I was just working off of the image that we saw and just the general speculation
Yeah.
of the movie, it'd have made it, but it would have been a little bit lower. But after that trailer and just seeing how effective the tone of that movie looks, and just all the things that they were able to achieve in just a short amount of time, it just restored so much faith in me, and got me so excited and so anticipated for this movie, and just the implications of it all, and how important this movie is for DC. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that if this movie doesn't work on
Mm,
both a critical and commercial level, we can probably go ahead and call it curtains for DC for a long time. Now
yeah.
there will still be movies of some sort. I mean, obviously
Hmm.
Matt Reeves and the Batman is still doing a thing, and there's other things that are cooking, and
Yeah.
movies that they're moving quickly on, like Supergirl and Clayface. But if it doesn't work, the idea that they're gonna just continue to pump out movie after movie and have this universe expand out, that's just not gonna happen. It's just
Hmm.
not gonna be the case, and so a lot's riding on this movie. I mean, I don't doubt that it can be good at this point. James Gunn he's just done it over and over again. But will people show up for it is what I'm very concerned about, because it's just hard to predict these days. It's not a shoe-in and not a guarantee that people are just going to show up for these movies. The Suicide Squad, it's amazing, the one that he did, and it bombed at the box office.
Hmm.
The Flash was a decent movie, completely bombed. Nobody cared. Hopefully people can care about Superman, because he's notoriously been a very difficult character to get people to care about, especially moving into the 21st century. So I'm hoping that we can just enter a new era where he becomes as big as he should be. This is literally the first American superhero, and
Hmm.
he's not had that sort of stature and prestige in decades. And I think it's about
Right.
time that we get back to that place and hopefully see him ascend to that level once again. So can't wait for Superman to drop this July. Last but not least, what's your number one spot? The thing you're looking forward to the most is going to drop this year.
Oh man, if you can consider it a drop, but it is the Kendrick and SZA tour. It is.
Okay, good
Yeah,
pick.
yeah. I am very excited for the Grand National Tour with Kendrick and SZA. So often, in case people don't know, I go to a lot of concerts. I love concerts. It's a thing I frequent. Everyone's always asking me what concerts you going to, what's happening. And Kendrick and SZA, which is crazy. Honestly, don't even know how to have a ticket yet, because I'm trying to figure out what city I'm going in first. Like, dang, don't want to go in LA. Don't want to. I don't know about LA no more. But do I want to go in LA? Do I want to go to St. Louis? Or because yeah, it's just a lot of places that they're pulling up. Vegas, I know my cousin is going to. I don't know, but I'm really excited for this because it is a stadium tour, and very seldom, if at all, do we see a rapper, somebody who is in hip hop, go and sell out some stadiums constantly and over. And I'm really excited to see what Kendrick, I think, can bring to a stadium feel. And he has SZA next to him, so a frequent collaborator. I've loved SZA for a very long time. I've also been a big fan of hers for an extended period of time, and I think this is just another. We've been talking about Kendrick doing victory laps with the Super Bowl and stuff. To me, this tour just another victory lap. He's just really going around and rotating around the moon, man. And it's really cool, I think, to see him I think hold this stature and hold this prestige as one of the best doing it today. So I'm really excited for this concert. I think Kendrick and SZA are going to kill it. I'm excited for merch. I'm excited for, again, everybody to talk about him. I'm excited to see the set pieces, because Mr. Morale was crazy. Like, he was really doing stuff in Mr. Morale. You telling me this is in a stadium? Something's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to be something. So yeah, man, pretty excited to see Kendrick and SZA go on tour.
And him coming off of the massive upcoming halftime performance at the Super Bowl, it's just going to create so much momentum for that show. I mean, it already has. People have already been talking about it, and trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out dates and tickets and stuff like that. And to your point about stadiums, it's not something that happens often with hip hop artists. Literally, I think the only artists I've seen that have performed in a stadium from a hip hop perspective have been Jay-Z a couple of times, and Travis Scott just recently. He did a show at
Yep.
MetLife Stadium, but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen often because it's a very difficult thing to sell out triple the amount of seats that you have to sell
Right.
compared to a regular
It's
arena.
kinda yay with his with Donda
I
stuff.
I
Yeah.
never saw it, and
Yeah.
that stuff, even with the Donda. I mean, those, you didn't have to pay for that really. Or
Exactly.
it was a very
Yeah. It
reduced
was cheap or
price,
something. Yeah.
cheaper,
Mhm.
like $20 if you had to pull up for that, since they were mostly listening sessions. But to actually shell out real money,
Yeah.
which just showcases that people want to come see you, they're willing to pay for you. That's been a whole nother level that he's about to just climb that mountain and do something that is rarely done. I'm trying to figure out the second time I'm going. I'm definitely going here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about another city
Going somewhere. Yep.
possibly.
Yep. Exactly.
Toronto's very much high on the list. I'm very much considering that because
Yep.
Kendrick in Toronto after everything that just went down would be
I know. And Drake be
insanity.
like buying like front row seats so nobody can sit there. Something's wrong with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with that. Because I don't know if that's going to be able to happen here at this one. But there probably will be some shenanigans.
It's
Knowing
definitely gonna be
him,
shenanigans.
across those 2 days. But we'll certainly see. It's gonna be a huge tour, huge moment for Kendrick and both SZA. When it drops, and when they start this tour later this summer. Topping off my list, the thing I'm most excited for. You talked about it earlier, GTA 6. This is going to be the biggest entertainment drop of the year. It's going to be literally one of the most financially lucrative things that ever exists in any entertainment medium pretty much immediately. There was a report that came out, I believe, a week ago that said right now there are predictions and estimates that GTA 6 will sell $1 billion worth of pre-sales alone and is likely to have $3 billion worth of revenue before the year's even over. We're just talking about a few months because it's supposed to drop in the fall. It's supposed to drop, after the summer. And so just within a few months, it's supposed to make really, really ridiculous money.
Wow.
On top of the fact that it's been 13 years since the last one. It's just been such hype built up for this game. Just such a long wait and a layoff in between 5 and 6 now. And look, Grand Theft Auto is literally my favorite franchise in all the video games. It's the thing that got me really, really hooked to video games at a very early, young age. Never anticipated that we would be waiting this long for one, but that trailer that when it came out last year, I think it reminded you of just the power of Rockstar and what they can achieve and what they can do. And if it does indeed drop, because as you said, there's no guarantee that it will. It could potentially get punted again. Hopefully that's not the case. But if it does indeed come out, don't talk to me. This is going to dominate my fall. You won't see me. You won't hear from me. I won't be doing anything else. You just won't be able to get in contact with me because it'll be the only thing that I'm doing because, look, it's going to be an incredible game. I think we can all rest assured and know that that's going to be the case. I've even been, getting myself ready. I've played the previous, original trilogy on the PS2. I'm probably going to play 4 and 5 again this year, and also some other Rockstar games, the Red Dead Redemption series, some Max Payne games.
God, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the greatest games ever. But
2 is incredible.
It's
a singular achievement. So just imagine that, but with GTA plus, another 6 or 7 years worth of technology and development. So it's just like
crazy.
The sky is really the limit. And I can't wait if it does indeed come out this year. Before we recap our list quickly and move on, any other sort of honorable mentions that you just want to throw out here? Things that did not make your actual top 10 of what you're looking forward to that's going to drop this year, whether it's music, movies, TV, another game, another concert, anything else on the list that you want to mention?
Whatever Beyonce's doing. As this podcast is, as you're listening to this, apparently she's supposed to be releasing something. Tomorrow is Beyonce has a day. January 14th is the day she said. So I don't know what she's doing, but I'm excited to see whatever that is. Fantastic Four, man, I am excited for Fantastic Four. I just can't make my top 10 because I need Marvel to tell me something. You know what I'm saying? I need Marvel they got to win my graces back, to be honest. I want to be excited for Captain America too, but you got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to win my graces back. And I think, but Fantastic Four does have a really good, I love the concept art. I love the actors and actresses they have behind that movie. I'm really excited for Fantastic Four. What else am I excited for? There's a couple other things. There is honestly, Marvel Rivals kind of just started, so I'm still excited for Marvel Rivals. The game is so good and so fun, and people are rallying behind it and actually loving it. Oh my god! And how did I think? Is this coming out this year? Is Avatar: Fire and Ash happening this year?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has. I have to talk about that as well. James Cameron has just been killing these movies, man. And I think that's another one of those ones. That is we're gonna be like, what am I looking at on the screen? Hopefully another cinematic achievement from him. And then the last thing I'll mention is The Running Man, another interesting movie. It's gonna be starring Glenn Powell, based on when The Running Man came out, 1987, I think it was.
Mid-80s.
I'm really excited. Edgar Wright is directing it. I'm very interested to see what they have there. Hopefully it's good. I really love the original Running Man. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what that movie has for us as well.
Coleman Domingo also just got cast in that, so he will be in the Running Man. Which, I hope it comes out this year because we just heard about this casting news and it's supposed to drop, I think, in November. And I don't know if they've shot it
Yeah,
yet.
it's like, what we
I
doing?
don't know. I'm a little skeptical it'll drop this year, but hopefully it does because I do love the
Yeah.
Running Man as well. You said Avatar. I'm excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which is dropping this year. That should be really
yes.
cool. He's obviously coming off of his Academy Award winning work with Pinocchio. We obviously know GDT, just all of his stuff that he does in terms of like supernatural things. It's always just a hit for me. And so I think he's going to really create a new vision for Frankenstein, especially in this new wave of sort of remakes of these classic Universal horror monsters that we've been getting. Karate Kid Legends, I talked about that a few weeks ago. The trailer looks great. Very excited for that.
Good.
Eddington, the new Ari Aster movie, which is starring Emma Stone, or excuse me, it's actually starring Pedro Pascal, who's, again, as I said, he's going to have a really ridiculous year between Eddington and Materialists, Last of Us, and the Fantastic Four. Like, he won't sleep this year. There won't be no time for him to sleep. He's going to be on an infinite press run, but he will be in this Eddington movie, which is supposed to be like a new neo-Western. Joaquin Phoenix is also in that movie. And then Begonia.
Mando next year?
Yeah, the movie. The movie
after?
Filming. Yeah, it's supposed to be 26. The last thing I'll mention is Begonia, which is actually starring Emma Stone. This is her, I think, third now collaboration with Yorgos Lanthimos. She'll probably never work with another director again, and that's fine because they make good movies together. But this is a movie that's slated to come out later this year, I believe in November, that I'm very much looking forward to just because those two, they kind of make magic together. So, yeah, lots to look forward to in 2025. Hopefully, all of it can deliver. Hopefully, as much of it can deliver as we certainly expect it to, but we will certainly have to see. But, folks, those are all of our most anticipated entertainment releases of the year. Let us know what you are looking forward to. If you agree or disagree with our list, hit us up and let us know what you think.